Do you want to sound like every realtor, or do you want to stand out? Who wants to stand out? Okay, so you may not use that line, you may use another line, but have a pitch or a saying that you're something else. I love to say I work in the real estate space because that allows me then to have a conversation about something else rather than just being a realtor and it shuts down there. Oh, you're a realtor. Okay, see ya. So work in the real estate space or have something that is significantly different than that. Anyways, I'm Randy Dick, Phil Hahn, my partner here at Realtor Collective, and we're excited to share our second Realtor Collective. And really, Realtor Collective is about us coming together as agents, and more importantly, coming together and collaborating, learning from one another, being better together. And Phil, my partner here, if you don't know Phil Hahn, Phil's an amazing dude. Do you know this man here, Phil, has been the #1 agent in 2 separate markets. Who's been #1 in one market? Anybody in this room? Who can say they're #1 in the market? Come on, where's the egos?
We got one.
We got one? Okay.
Congratulations.
Awesome. Think about doing this in Ottawa and then in Victoria. This is what Phil's done. He's been the #1 agent in 2 separate markets, which is phenomenal. I like to call him GG. GG. He doesn't even know this. I call GG to myself. Go-giver. This man knows how to give and help and support one another like nobody else. And I want to thank you for supporting me in all that I do.
Thanks, brother.
So I'm going to turn it over to Phil. Phil's going to share a little bit about the state of the union and what's happening in the marketplace. I think that's really important. And then we're going to break into our collaborative work today.
So we're going to do, as Randy said, we're going to do a little bit of a State of the Union in terms of where the market's at, because I think it's imperative that if you don't know where you're going to end up somewhere else. We touched on this yesterday. For those of you that were here yesterday, that was fantastic. This will be a little bit of review for you. For those that weren't, this will be some great information. So in Vancouver, in the last 12 months, for the 12-month period ending September 2022, this is MLS sales only, folks, for the Lower Mainland, so the Chilliwack, Fraser Valley, as well as the Vancouver Real Estate Board. There were approximately $64,210,578,300 in dollar volume traded on the MLS system, which represents approximately $128,421,156,600 in commissionable income that you could get a piece of, okay? How many units was that? 57,184 units traded on the MLS system, which means there were 114,368 opportunities and ends where you could get the opportunity to earn some income. Okay, so 114,000 ends. Average days on market in the last 12 months, 26.3 on the Lower Mainland. Average sale price, $1,122,877. Median sale price, $855,000, with an average sold to ask ratio of 101.87%. Well, those of us who've been in the business 10 years or longer know that a 101.87% sold to ask ratio is ridiculous. It's impossible. If you told me this 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that would be the average sold to ask ratio on the whole Lower Mainland, I would have told you you're crazy, okay? Normal historics are about 95 to 98% of a sold to ask ratio, okay? Anything 6 months or less on market are still advantageous seller conditions. We've just become so accustomed to this insanity and this craziness that we had over the last couple of years, okay? So let's fast forward. That's the last 12 months. What's happened in the last 90 days? Because, if you read the media, you might want to jump off a bridge, right? I mean, things are terrible. Interest rates are going up, this and that. $7,462,336,458 in volume traded on the MLS system on the Lower Mainland in the last 90 days. That's for the 3-month period ending September 2022, which equates to about $14.9 billion in commissionable earnings that you could, have an opportunity to get a buyer or a seller side. 7,491 units for roughly 15,000 ends, or opportunities for all of you to earn income for yourselves and your families. Average days on market, it's really changed, guys. It's gone from 26.3 to 31.9, an increase of 21%, okay? Whoop-de-doo. Still strong seller conditions, okay? Average sale price gone down a little bit, about 11% to $996,174. And then the median sale price has gone down about 11% to 760,000. Average sold to ask ratio has decreased about 4.5% to 97.21. So why am I getting so specific on looking at a year and then the last 90 days? Because guys, that's your market. That's what you're creating in, okay? Those are unbelievable statistics and unbelievable market conditions. So you got to go out there and you got to get your unfair share. How do you do it? Sellers, 5 to 10% less than what is active. So you're listing houses, don't look at the recent sales, look at what is active and be 5 to 10% less. If you take that pricing strategy, you will always win the game, no matter what market conditions you're in. Who here has read the book Shift? Okay, everybody, that is an imperative tool for you to get. Get the hard copy and then use your Audible or whatever other method you like to use to learn, but get that book because it is an unbelievable read and will be of great assistance in this new market. Because this isn't a buyer's market, it's not a seller's market, it's not a balanced market, it's a new market. Just like the COVID market was a new market that we weren't anticipating. That's it for me, guys. Have a great day and enjoy the conference.
You know, Phil, this business is really, really simple. It's really, really simple. Show me your bank account. I can tell you how many people you're talking to about real estate. It's that easy. Conversations about real estate is what you need to do. And so, are you having 3, 5, 10, 30, 50 conversations with people about real estate a day? You're going to succeed. It's if you're not having those conversations, you're not going to succeed. So make sure you're making those calls and those dials.
Yeah, you got it. And so a little bit of a background about Randy. For those of you who may not know, Randy's been in the real estate game. This is his 31st year. So I know there's some other veterans in here, front row, that have lots of experience equal to that as well. 31 years in the real estate space. Randy, it's fair to say you've pretty much experienced every type of market possible, right, in that period?
3 cycles.
Yeah, 3 cycles. Randy had the privilege not only of winning RE/MAX's most prestigious award, the Luminary of Distinction, which is $20 million paid to the individual in 20 years, but he did it in 15. And so because of that, he was disqualified from getting the Luminary of Distinction, so he actually never received the award. And so that's another story he can share with you about, but a pretty cool feat. Randy has helped dozens and dozens and dozens and hundreds of people become very wealthy through real estate ownership and investment through real estate and through his work through the Real Estate Investment Network as well. Has been happily married to his amazing wife, Jolene, for 35 years now. She's back there, by the way. Say hi, Joe! And they've got 3 awesome children, adult children, and they live in the beautiful community of Ocean Park. And so, someone, again, I'm really pleased and blessed to be able to create with and call my friend.
Thanks, Phil.
Awesome, buddy.
Appreciate that. Well, today is surviving that market, the shifting of the market. And how do we survive it? And we're going to future-proof your business or give you tools and tips how to future-proof your business. But that's really through what? Collaboration. Who's feeling like they're 36 right now? Anybody feeling 36? Yeah? Do you look like that? You don't look like that. Moisturize, yes. Real estate's stressful. And so I'm hoping that today we can take some of that stress and give you some tools and tips and tricks how to do real estate a little bit easier, be more productive, of course, have more fun. We got to have some fun in this business, right? So we're going to have some fun today. So Realtor Collective, this is really what this is about. You can see the images where there's an idea given to somebody else, and that person takes it a little bit further and so forth, and comes up with a solution. And really, this is what we're about here. We're about collaborating with one another. There's no hidden agenda. It's just how do we help one another be better? And when we're all together and doing that, we're all going to be better. No expectation or credit or compensation. Think about that. Are you willing to collaborate with somebody across the room with no expectations of any credit or compensation? That's what we should be doing in this business. We should be sharing with one another our best and our brightest ideas with one another so we can actually help them be successful as well. No sharing. This is what I loved about this. Eddie didn't get paid. He didn't share that he did this. And I think we need to learn to take a lesson in real estate. I think loose lips sink ships. And so often, we share something with somebody and they run away with it and they start blabbing it out to the airwaves. And they ruin everything that you've done as far as trust, maybe with a client or a deal or whatever it may be. Loose lips sink ships. I'm just going to encourage you not to do that. Have a doctor-patient, kind of relationship with that information. Very, very important. And then the other one is collaboration improved the song and made it a #1 song and the #1 album of the year. Who can I help? Who can I help in this audience today to be #1 or help them put a deal or two together? I want you to reach out to me if you think I can help you. That's called collaboration at the highest level. And this is why we're all here today. And this is why Phil and I put this event on, because we want you to all be better in this game of business. We want you to be more professional. And when we're more professional, we do our job better, we're also seen out in the public in a different light. Very important, very important.
Phil Moore, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Phil Moore.
So the first thing I've got to share is if you're in a board and you follow board governance, is that there's a spokesperson. So nationally, we have a chair, which is Jill Odell, and so she's the only one that can give us any information what's happening nationally. I can give you some insight locally and speak about local matters, and it's amazing since the time that I chaired the Vancouver Real Estate Board in 2018, how much change you guys went through. And I spent almost 300 days in 2018 at the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver in meetings with the regulator, Mr. Noseworthy. And of course, you've got a lawyer that comes in and tries to turn our business upside down. Some will say that he did. But there were so many different scenarios that we had to go through so that we could come to the rules that we have today. And of course, that wasn't the end. Since 2018, rules of cooperation, the government stepped in, and what I've really got to say is probably what's the most important thing is, if you're a new agent, reach out to a mentor and reach out to your managing broker, okay? Never in the history of real estate has a managing broker been more important than these times. We've seen a latest regulation discipline was a $150,000 fine and 1 year suspension. And it was as simple as maybe reaching out, and I'm not talking about reaching out on social media, because I've seen some of the comments, and certainly people can be led astray on different sites, but I'm talking about the value of having a managing broker and being able to reach them at all hours of the day. So I acknowledge EXP, I acknowledge any company that provides that and keeps us out of trouble. So thank you and happy selling.
I'm going to start with a quick little intro on this. This is kind of an interesting clock, and we all know that the market is always changing. Boom, slump, recovery. We know that happens. But can anybody time it? Can anybody time this? We know this happens. We just don't know the duration or the timing of it. And Patrick has so much data on this. He's going to be fun to listen to. But really, where are we on this clock, this boom-bust recovery cycle? Are we in recovery already? Are we still busting? Are we starting to boom again? Where are we? And we're going to walk through that a little bit in today's discussion with Matt and Patrick. But this is one of those things that I've been through 3 times. 3 times. It's kind of fun. You get really, really good at real estate when you go through a slump. Who's done this? Who has been through a slump? They've got a property and they're going, oh my goodness, I got to sell this thing. And you're waiting and waiting and waiting for the market to come around. And then it finally starts picking up. It starts to recover. And what happens? You put it on the market and you sell it, but you've sold it too quick. It cycles up, hits boom. I've done that myself many times. Even though I've instructed and shared with my clients, don't sell. It's going to come up some more. But when you've been through this slumping cycle, it's really easy to get caught up and finally I get rid of this property. But really, you really have to understand this cycle to really know how to time it. We'll never time it just right, but this is a really, really fun thing to talk about. So,
Awesome.
Phil, take it away.
Thanks, Randy. So Randy did touch a little bit on Patrick's background. I'll give you some extensive bio here. So Patrick Francie, President CEO of the Real Estate Investment Network, REIN Canada, real estate investor, business owner, educator, and coach since 1984. Patrick has been an entrepreneur and owner of multiple businesses. In 2012, he became principal and the CEO of his business, REIN, which is the Real Estate Investment Network, Canada's leading member community for providing real estate investor education programs and cutting-edge economic research. Patrick is known by Canadian real estate investors and entrepreneurs for his coaching, mentorship, and for the investor-focused education he delivers by teaching and sharing his business philosophies, investment insights, and real-life experiences. Patrick walks his talk as he and his wife, Stephanie, continue to expand their real estate portfolio while building and growing their businesses. On the personal side, Patrick maintains a holistic health and fitness lifestyle, which they expanded to include acreage living in the Fraser Valley of BC. Patrick and Stephanie live a fulfilled life with their 2 Bernese mountain dogs, which are awesome, big dog fan, and their commitment to being a contribution to the success of others. Together, they have created an environment designed for them to do what they love to do. Patrick's calling is to support others in growing their life worth by being their greatest self and living their most fulfilled life by design. Awesome. Welcome, Patrick.
Thanks very much.
And Matt Kerr, everybody. So Matt has always loved buying real estate and started by buying investment properties in Whistler and Vancouver when he was coaching, ski racing, and traveling. Awesome. GS or slalom? Both. DH as well? Yep. And Super G, everything, eh? Right on. Cool. When he finished full-time coaching in 2008...
Look at his quads, Phil.
What's that? Yeah, I
Look
know.
at his
He's got
quads.
some quads, eh? Yeah, I don't know. When he finished full-time coaching in 2008, it was a natural path to become a realtor. Vancouver, BC now being his permanent home. Before becoming a realtor, Whistler and Vancouver, BC were Matt's home intermittently as he traveled the world while working for the Canadian Alpine Ski Team. He did this for 8 years and was a coach for both the men and women's teams, as well as the para-alpine team. Matt coached the women's SL and GS team through the 2006 Torino Olympics. Matt is an owner and team lead at Stillhavens, a brokerage where agents are selected based on a strict performance and personality criterion. We were inspired to bring together a curated collection of exceptional, like-minded industry leaders to raise the bar of real estate. That's awesome. Welcome, Matt. Okay, so let's get on to our... And Randy, well, we've already done his intro, so you know that. So everybody's got a mic? Perfect. So I'll just table the questions. We can do kind of a round robin, and whichever, whoever wants to take the lead is how we'll deal with it. So we're talking about market cycles right now and what's happening. And market cycles obviously are always happening. How many cycles have you been through? Is this cycle different or the same, and is it too early to tell? Who'd like to handle that?
Well, I'll just open up with, from a business cycle, I've been through, I think this will be, if we consider this a recession or we're fearful of this turning into a recession, this will be my 5th or 6th. I think I went through the first one in the early 80s and so on and so forth. From a real estate cycle, this will be my third real estate cycle that I've experienced personally while owning a portfolio.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. This is probably my third. I came into business in 2009. My first month in selling was January 2009. Great timing, right? Talk about panic. You get sweaty palms just thinking about it. So it was a perfect time to come into the business. So if any of you guys are just getting into business and we're into this sort of market, and it's a really good time to be in the business. There's massive, massive opportunity here in a market like this if you're willing to do what's right.
Yeah, and it's been, with Matt saying 3, and maybe it's 4. They all kind of work together, but I started in 92 as an agent and went through the late 90s, and then again, 2008, 9 again. And even, before the pandemic, we were cycling into a pretty tough market in 2019. So, there's these mini cycles, and Scott Brown, which is going to be sharing later today, last time he spoke, he was talking about cycles being 3 years instead of a traditional 7-year cycle. So there's probably mini cycles, kind of like mini strokes maybe, eh?
Yeah, we don't want that. So why would you say this is the same or different? And, what lessons have you learned from the past?
For me, this is a little different. Obviously, this is government-induced. It's intentional, whereas 2009 wasn't necessarily too intentional. But I'm going to compare it to that just because that was probably the one that we most remember. Yeah, so for me, and for me and my team, I have two members of my team in the audience here today, and it's actually, we're looking at this as a tremendous opportunity. I'm not sure where we are in that cycle, and to be honest, it seems like after yesterday, we may be going into a little bit more of a stable environment, which is good for everybody in this room, I think, but it's so hard to say what happens next. So nobody knows what's going to happen in the future, I think.
I look at everything, when we talk about cycles, there are things that you can predict and are very predictable because of the economics that drive a cycle. And so I'll just give you some quick notes. For all the years that RAIN has been around, we've looked at the economic fundamentals that drive real estate. So first off, remember that real estate is regional. Not all of you are working with investor-focused clients. You're working with, end-user clients. But ultimately, what you need to be grounded in as business owners, because that's how I hold you as entrepreneurs and business owners, is looking at what is driving our economy. So first and foremost, what we call the long-term real estate success formula is driven by gross domestic product. GDP is the key to pay attention to. What GDP represents is jobs. And right now, for example, we have low unemployment. So I want you to pay attention to GDP and that employment or unemployment number, because that is what affects everything else. And when people have jobs, they spend money. Now, what's happening right now is we have this thing called consumer confidence, which is very low because of all the things that's causing it, the uncertainty, the war, the interest rates. So I want you to consider that what drives the cycle is the economic fundamentals. GDP, jobs, immigration, which of course Vancouver is awesome because they're always bringing people in. Immigration drives demand. And you look at rental units, of course that drives the rental demand, but it also eventually drives demand for buyers. So these are the numbers that you got to pay attention to. So as much as people say we're in a recession, we're technically not in a recession. Our GDP remains positive. Our unemployment remains low. Good news. So to Matt's point, it's kind of this weird time. But economically, if we were looking at this particular cycle, we would say we're in a slump. So I'll finish by saying this. That should not bum you out. That should be like, holy cow, what an opportunity for me and for my clients. When do you want to buy real estate? At the peak or at the slump? We can't time it. We don't know what the bottom is. I'll give you the example of a guy that was talking to me the other day. He had a stock. He bought it at $15. He chased it up at $15. It dropped to $3. I go, dude, go in, go hard. He goes, no way, it's crazy. It's just dropped. I'm thinking to myself, that's how real estate investors think. When there's lots of hype and FOMO, they are all over it. The minute it drops, instead of saying, holy cow, this is where I want to get all in, and I'm going to pay attention to what's happening economically, they back off. So for you as realtors, if you want to give your clients confidence, talk about economics. Then they hear you totally differently, and then you're actually instilling confidence, because here's where it goes. Confidence is rarely owned. It's almost always borrowed. They're always borrowing it from you because they're indecisive. But when you can share with them what's going on economically, that will support you in getting those sales done. So I could go on all day, so I won't.
And one of the best ahas I have on that is what we tolerate becomes the standard.
That's right.
Right? Mm-hmm. What you tolerate becomes the standard. So if you tolerate someone's mediocrity, then that becomes the standard.
Basically, I'm going to teach you how to do 100 deals a year and make $1 million a year. I'm going to show you how to do that with social media marketing. So it's worked for me really well. Let's give a shout out to Phil Moore's Blazers. Okay? So we're gonna get into this. I'm going to give you some tips, what's worked for me. I've done this presentation for a lot of offices before, but I've added some other stuff to that. I've been very lucky to grow up with my best friend who created one of the biggest digital marketing companies out there, and he's about to get acquired for over $100 million, and he's 34 years old. Okay, so he teaches me, every time I post something, he shows me how to properly do the ad, how to run the ad, how to run it on Instagram, how to run it on Facebook. And so I learned what works. I learned where the money's well spent, and I'm going to show you some tips today that's going to save you money, and I'm going to show you how to get every single listing presentation. 9 out of 10 listing presentations I get. The 10th one I don't get because the brother's a realtor. So that's the truth every time I get in there. Because you know what? The wife's been following me or the husband's been following me for years. Sold by Ty as a handle for me has worked wonders. And I'm going to be very transparent and show you a few things. Gary Vee had a quote that says you have to post 7 to 10 times a day to stand out in 2023 and 2022. Think about that. 7 to 10 times a day. But what that is, it basically is stories, LinkedIn, Facebook, it could be anything. You have to be out there 7 to 10 times a day. Facebook and Instagram has changed their algorithms immensely over the last 6 months. So if you are not an active client, if you are spending money and it's not consistent, your money is going straight in the trash. 7 to 10 times a day, that's a lot. For me, Instagram stories are everything. I average 6,000 to 8,000 story views every single time. 6,000 to 8,000 people see every single story. For me, that works well for me because I have 8,000 people just watching me day to day, showing me that I'm doing a good job. I'm being very transparent for you on how it's worked for me. In 2015, I started Instagram. It was very easy in 2015 because sold by whatever was available. Now it seems like everybody is sold by something. So I started that handle in 2015. Since then, it's everywhere. It's a license plate on my car. I'm recognized if I go to a Lions game. My wife and I went to a concert in Vegas. We saw Luke Combs and a guy screamed "Sold by Ty" as we were going up the aisle. It's like, oh, this kind of works. So basically, the last 2 years has taken off for me. 100 plus transactions, and that's just on my own that I've done. Basically in 2020, I did 21 deals off of social media. That's just social media deals. That's a cold lead. That's somebody sending me a message saying, can you give me a call? Message out. And that resulted in about $200,000 in GCI commission, which is not too bad, just off a cold lead. In 2021, I did 108 deals on my own. That's not with the team, and 36 deals came basically off Instagram, which brought me over $500,000 in commission, and that's just off of Instagram. So I'm telling you, this works. It's a free platform. I barely spend any money on Instagram, but it's worked really well. In 2021, I ended up selling one of the largest penthouses ever built in White Rock off of Instagram. It's pretty cool, like 3 stories high. And she reached out, sent me a DM on Instagram. She told me her address. I got to the front door. I asked her, what unit are you? And she said, I'm not. I'm the top floor. And so I went up top. She ended up having her own parkade and ended up selling her place off of Instagram. I posted as a coming soon. Somebody reached out to me and said I had a buyer. We ended up selling it that night before it went live. So the power of that is pretty important. I'm going to go through some of what I feel are most important socials in terms of where I feel they would start at the best in the most business. Instagram for me is number one. I'll have a lot of pushback from people on TikTok and YouTube, but TikTok is scaling very fast. I'm going to show you sort of the benefits of TikTok and how cheap it is to advertise on TikTok. Facebook is definitely promote pay to play. Facebook, I'm going to show you what you need to be doing on Facebook so your ads don't get rejected, how much you need to spend on Facebook to actually get out of your sphere. Some of you that are advertising like $3-4 a day, your money's going in the garbage. You have no idea it's not going out of your sphere. People don't know that, but I know that because my buddy runs ads for Grant Cardone, and they know how much you need to spend on each ad. TikTok is coming up. YouTube used to be ahead of that. YouTube's hard to work. TikTok's a lot easier. TikTok does not have to be dancing videos. TikTok can be educational videos. I go and film with my media team about 20 videos every month, and then we have those all stored, and I just basically post those through the year. So I always have 3 months worth of content stored and filmed. YouTube, like long-winded videos, are really hard to get subscribers and for anybody. If you can do that, it's very impressive. If you can get subscribers on YouTube, there is a lot of guys like Craig Veroni. He's with Remax Masters in Vancouver. He does only YouTube, and he gets all his business off YouTube. But it's 20-minute videos, so that's not that easy for people to do, right? LinkedIn, I feel, is kind of like at the very end of that. When I post something, I make sure I post it as a reel. I post it on LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok. I just go right down the chart. And every Wednesday in my calendar, I basically have reoccurring, you have to post today. So I'm not sitting there thinking about what do I got to do next. I just make sure I'm very reoccurring all the time, and Facebook, Instagram recognizes me as an active customer that posts very often, and they basically take me, and I'm the VIP client, so my ads that you spend $10 on and I spend $10 on, mine is shown 10 times more. For organic growth, it's hard because it can be a lot of money to spend on online ads unless you got to spend a lot to get out there. But creating a brand that's very recognizable is so important. The guys up here were talking about that before. You need to create the best brand ever. And when I came out with my brand, which is like TCG, and it's like everywhere. I mean, it's in my suit jackets, it's on my socks, it's like everywhere I go. I'm very polished, my brand, and you need to be recognizable for that. Every post needs to have some kind of meaning. Stop with your posts of just sold if you're not telling a story. I can't tell you how important it is to tell a story on a just sold. So I used to just do just sold, and nobody would engage with that. So what I did is I did life, myself on my farm with my wife and little guy. I would do some kind of content, and then I would maybe do a just sold every like 4th or 5th post. But your just sold has to tell a story. It has to tell a story to somebody so they understand what you went through. Just sold this condo. I've been working with Mrs. Smith for 9 months. We lost out on 2 and multiple offers. The 3rd one had a bad inspection. We finally got the 4th one in a great building close to my office. Tell a story. I don't need to care. Nobody cares that you sold 100, 200, 500 houses. They don't care. And I say, one of my things that I just truly believe in, and it's just a saying that I always say, is just hit record. Like, just go for it. Just do it. Post it. You'll see your business just explode. That's it.
Awesome, Ty. Woo! That was awesome. One thing, Ty, that I heard from you is the consistency of doing it. Doing it, doing it, doing it. And often, who's afraid to go live? We're all afraid to go live, but you do it after what? 9, 10, 12, 50 times, and it's not live anymore. It's just talking into a screen.
So I just keep the consistency from what I used to do before in my business, which is, if you've heard it before, if you follow me, mail out Mondays. 52 times a year I send out a flyer to my farm area, mail out Mondays. You don't call that consistent? I did that for 11 straight years. People in Panorama Ridge would get a flyer all the time. I took that consistency to social.
Love it. Let's give a hand for Ty.
Thank you.
Love the consistency of what? Love the boredom of consistency. Love the boredom of consistency. Consistency matches anything. Okay, so here we go. Another panel. This is going to be a really great panel. Who's on a team right now? Hands up. Who's a team? Okay, hands down. Who's a team lead? Got a few team leads. Who's an individual agent in this room? Awesome. Okay, I'm going to start with you, Ben. Pass the mic to Ben. Ben, why are you a team lead, and what motivated you to start a team?
So I started when I was 20, and I think the thing that I quickly learned is that I really wanted to create something like Randy did. And so when I first started, one of your team leads at the time was like heavily recruiting me to join your team. And I remember telling Randy, I'm like, I actually want to do what you've done. And so I start like anyone else does as a single agent, and then you realize pretty quickly that I have certain strengths and certain weaknesses, and the reality is that you're only going to be so strong in your weaknesses. May as well focus on your strengths. So I think it was like 6 months into the business, I hired my first assistant, and that kind of took the menial things off of my task list, like, why, guys, are you wasting your time putting up lock boxes and those kind of things, and maybe you find a way to make it meaningful, but the reality is that I think we all need to know what we're really good at and focus on those strengths. So I started building a team because I also realized that as time went on in my business, my better time was spent presenting, signing listings, building relationships, not necessarily carting people around in my car, showing properties. It's never been a passion of mine, to be totally honest. And then as we built the team, the thing was that we really wanted to attract people, like members, that absolutely love doing that, so that we can see that they are working with our clientele passionately, running people around and touring through houses. So when I do go and show properties, it's usually with my friends, and we enjoy making fun of people's photos inside of the house, and it's a good time. But ultimately, I decided to build a team so that I can focus on the things that I'm really good at and kind of keep developing in that direction. So
Awesome. I'm going to skip Kelly. I'm going to go straight to you, Jer. Yeah. And why are you on a team?
Why am I on a team?
Why are you on a team after 15 years? Still
Oh my
on a
goodness.
team?
That's a great question, and I've got the answer right here. one of these. So this is all. Yeah.
Copy, paste, send.
Yeah, exactly.
did Randy write this?
These are the questions that he sent me. So There it is. Why are you still on a team?
Yeah, why are you still in team?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I ask myself that all the time. But where can I find a leader like Randy? You expose us to exceptional opportunities. You encourage us to be our best self. And you lead by example. So thank you. Where can I find quality people that I love to work with, that I learn from, that challenge me? And that's my team. So thank you guys. That's why.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. Kelly, you've been just about everything, probably from secretary, front end, conveyancing, all of those things because you own brokerages. Why do you choose to be an individual today? And could you not make more money as a team lead?
That's an interesting question. I think it all comes from motivation and what you want to do. For me, my business evolved to where it is. So Randy's alluding to a lot of things happened in the past, 25 years in the business. I had the team. I had the big, I had 3 or 4 buyer's agents. I had a full-time staff member. I was a licensed mortgage broker at the same time. And I had a mortgage broker team person with me on that. And it was all about bigger, better, bigger, better, bigger, better. And then 2008 hit. And at that time, I'd just bought a brokerage a year earlier than that. I also bought a new house a year earlier than that, and on a golf course, and also took a trip to Panama about a year earlier than that. I didn't see it coming. And 2008 hit. So then I worked as a volunteer for 7 years, owning a brokerage, and which was great. And you go through a lot of things, but people come and go for different reasons. People leave for 6 months free somewhere else, right? When you pour yourself into them. You can bring up great people, and as you attract good people, I think you guys would attest to that, other than Jeremy and a lot of other people, but you attract really good people. Eventually they get to a place where they go on their own. And when they go, they take a little bit of the business with them. I don't care. You don't own all your clients, people. You don't brand them like cattle, right? You got to earn their business every single day. So we came to a place when my youngest son got old enough to go to school full time that Nicole got licensed. She came on board with me. And I had luckily, because I'd had teams, I created systems. And because I had the systems in place, we defined roles. And so Nicole and I have been working together really well for the last 12 and a half years. And we find, for me, the way I've done it and what I teach, so my goal is to empower other agents to build their own businesses on their own. If they want to grow and build other teams after that and be a fantastic leader, awesome. I just remember those days where there was a lot of money coming in, and there was a lot of money going out, and I was wondering where it was all the time. So that was my thing. Other people might be better at it, and Randy's a testament to that for sure. You're definitely a testament to that. I found that Nicole and I were able to build an efficient business with balanced lifestyle. I didn't have to be responsible for a bunch of people's lives and mortgages and all that kind of stuff. And we were able to do much more profitably because our money stays in our account, and we can do some things with PREC. We can do some things with taxes, paying salaries, leveraging, creating other companies. So for us, it worked really well just to build ourselves up and build a business that we could manage very well ourselves, and we can add people to it by giving them referrals and giving them other business and creating team members that way. With the company we're with now, we can even expand that even further now, and I'm super excited with our ability to create that kind of team atmosphere, but they get to build themselves up. I'm going to help them do it, and I'm going to help them win. So that's it.
Well said, well said. Leverage. Leverage is a dirty word, isn't it? Is it a dirty word? So how do you leverage on your team or in your business? And we can look at that many different ways. So what does that word mean to you, Ben, as you think of the Hardy team?
Well, we always tell our clients to live large, live leveraged, so keep buying. I think the thing is that, again, with the right people that are a part of your team, you have the ability to compound the things that you're doing. So you're 20 in the business. I'll admit that a cornerstone of our business is our resale side of things. And I'm super blessed because I've laid a crazy foundation of massive hard work and consistency, which is what Ty was talking about. That is the one biggest downfall that I think most realtors suffer with, is that they have this great idea, they do it once, they don't get the result that they want, and then they stop doing it. And the fact of the matter is that the people that win at this game, they stick with it. You know, it's about setting the course and executing and sticking it through and evaluating a ways down the road to make sure you're seeing a return on that investment dollar-wise and a return on your time. You know, so when I talk about leverage within the team, the biggest thing that I really want to focus on is that the people that we have on the team are in the right roles and they're working within their strong points. So, you know, I'll say for an absolute fact, like Ty, I don't know where Ty is, if he's somewhere around here. I seriously am so impressed with the stuff that he puts out there. Like the attention to detail is absolutely amazing. I will absolutely admit that I don't have the focus and the time and energy to put into that aspect of it. But where I see my return, my best leverage on my time is building my relationships with my investors, my developers. And as my business has grown and we're doing way more work on the land acquisition side, which feeds the project marketing side, which Miranda runs, it gives me a massive return on time. So instead of doing one CMA that produces one listing, which is great, and we still do that, it's like one presentation that lands you a 48-unit townhouse deal that sold out in 2 days at the peak of the market. I mean, that is like leverage to the nth degree. And I think the thing that I really needed to do with the team, and it's not been a science, it's been a moving target most of the time, is you're trying to find people to put into the right roles within the team. We want to bring on people who will kind of bring strengths where I'm weak. So I know for a fact that, and from day one, I was always super wired to focus on new business, just how I am. And I will say totally, like, it's embarrassing, but I would say in the first probably 6 years before I pulled my head out of my ass and I realized like how many people actually love me and want to stay in touch with me, I'm like, oh my goodness, I really need to make sure that you've got the new business systems that are happening, and all the while you've got the systems that are coddling the people that love you, so you stay in touch with them. So what I need to do is I need to bring the right people onto the team who bring these ideas that we can continue to nurture and build those relationships. And I am a relationship person. It's just that I needed somebody to kind of help orchestrate and roll out these things that we can do to, you know, be consistent in terms of building those relationships. So for the team, and it doesn't even have to be like my salespeople, like for staff, I'm telling you guys right now, like the first thing that I did, the very first hire, get an assistant. It's so important. There's so many things that you guys, or that people in general, I don't know, you may not do this, but so many people waste so much time on things that do not produce money. And I would say it's the biggest downfall of realtors. You know, it's I see it happen with, you know, the new people that come into the industry and you have no idea where to start. You do this ridiculous course that teaches you nothing about selling real estate, and then all of a sudden you got to go be a pro. You're drinking from a fire hose, you don't really know where to start, you know, drowning, and it's like, where do you put your energy? So the first thing you got to do is identify what are the key things that produce the best return on investment for my time and my money that I'm putting into my business. So,
Well said. Yeah. Two things that Ben touched on there. Your clients love you, yet you go and chase for new business, and you're trying to get them just to like you.
yeah.
And then they got to love you before you do business. So why not go back to the people that loved you, your database? They might have slipped to like, but it's a lot easier to get them to love you again. So really important.
And I would say, just to add to that, so like I'm a very routine, formulaic person, I'm consistent, but what I needed to do to make that work is we orchestrate specific touch points through the year, and we make them very personal. So we have regular client events. You know, it's so important to do these things, but even just leveraging video, you know, using simple technologies. We're not using BombBomb now. We've got another one that loops into our CRM that works way more effectively, but I'm telling you, it is the easiest
What's
thing
the
to do.
CRM called?
HubSpot is what we're using.
Okay.
It works really well on the project side of things, but they manage all of our social media campaigns and things like that, great. But they have a plugin for video that just works awesome. It actually replaced MailChimp, which we watch very closely when we're sending out our regular pieces and see who's opening what within our CRM. So it's just a little bit more streamlined the way that works.
Great.
So.
Jer, on leverage.
Yeah. And Mike. All right. So where do I start? Leverage is powerful, and I'm going to use a different word, though, collaboration. Guys, collaboration is the new currency. It really is. We learn from each other. See, I've got a responsibility to my team, as much as I have the privilege of getting from my team. So I've got the responsibility to give to my team, say it again, as much as I have the privilege of getting from my team. Doesn't it feel good to help others? It just really feels good in your soul. And so if you have something of value to give, if you have something of value to share it freely. And because we've been given much. And never think you don't have anything of value to give. So as a team, we freely share our knowledge, experiences, our story, encouragement, and we get it back in abundance. Take it beyond the traditional team environment. And imagine if we were collectively helping each other and attaining our goals, leveraging others' experiences, collaborating to be our best, both professionally and personally. Just imagine that.
And how has that played out over 15 years? Jer? How has
Yeah,
that played
I'm
out
still
over
doing
15
this.
years? How has that leverage component, that collaboration over 15 years on the Xmas real estate team played out for you?
I have gained so much more from you and from the team that that's why I'm on it still. We just learn from each other and we're able to share with each other's experiences, and that's it's helped me. It's given me. Our office is like we walk in and it's just got a great vibe, and that's super important.
He's being so humble. He gives so much to the other agents on the team with all his experience and what he does and how he does it. So, you're really being leveraged by the team as well. So leverage goes both ways. Yeah. Awesome. Kelly, that word leverage, what does that mean to you and all you've done and where you've come back to as an individual agent?
Yeah, there's different ways to leverage. First of all, I want to say something about Jeremy first and the team that you're on and everything. Jeremy's like as a member of a team who that's honoring a team lead, right? You got to honor all the principles, all of everything that's going on with that. But the thing is he's also leveraging the team lead, right? With the marketing and the presence and the I'm trying to think of the word right now, in the marketplace, and he gets to ride off that. So it's very, very powerful. So I'm not against that. I don't want to, we're just doing what we're doing, but there's leverage going both ways over here, which is pretty powerful, and over here too. For me, the way I think about it as an individual agent, if you're leveraging, first of all, why are you leveraging? And if you are leveraging, what is it for, right? Is it to get more time? Is it to get more money? Is it to be more efficient? Is it to have some sort of freedom? What is the reason, right? Because you can actually think you're getting to freedom and all you're doing is creating yourself more work. That could be a whole other thing. And you're having to pay attention to a whole other thing. And you got to spend money on a whole other thing, right? So what are you leveraging for and why? That's a key element to everything. So I came to my why a little bit differently right around 2010 when Nicole came and joined my team and became my teammate, not only my team member in the family. The other part of that is I had to then be a team member in the house too, right? I can't just say, okay, so you're doing all this stuff now with the house because she did before. I had to kind of step in there too. There's different things that happen that way too. But anyway, one thing that I teach new agents is a thing called the 4X formula. That's my little thing. That's my little brand and all that. But what that is really every listing should pay you 4 commission checks. So if you're always thinking that way, then you start to think about how to leverage each listing. So if you're doing something anyway, how can you get paid 4 times on it? That's how I think. That's how I always think. So every relationship that I make, every person that I come into contact with, every listing that I get, when I'm marketing the listing, when I'm thinking about the copy that we're putting into the listing, when I'm thinking about talking about it on social media, who am I trying to attract? Have I thought about who that buyer is? Who am I speaking to? What's the language they want to hear? What are the words they want to hear? Are they Starbucks drinkers? Are they Tim Hortons drinkers? Are they, craft beer drinkers? Are they red wine drinkers? What's going on with them? Who's the avatar that wants that listing? Because I want to attract 2 of them off each listing. I want 2 buyers, right? I'm going to sell that listing, and I'm going to sell those people another house, and I'm going to attract 2 buyers. Every deal, every listing should pay you 4 commission checks. So if you're thinking that way, you start to leverage the activities that you're already doing. All you're doing is just thinking deeper about those activities and how to maximize that listing. That listing is a storefront for me to get more business, more listings, future listings, and I think of now, soon, and future. Don't miss out on the soon and futures. They can become nows, right? You got to nurture them. And so I'm meeting soon and futures all the time when I'm marketing listings. That's my goal always. So that's my way of leverage.
Fantastic. If you could go back in time, Ben, 20 years ago, when you're 20, what would you do differently? What would you do differently that you would love to have a redo?
So I would say, like, I'm coming at this from the team lead perspective. When I look back on our team as it started at about, I think it's about year 4 in the business, I think in my naivety and with my age, I assumed that people that joined my team would just watch what Ben does and execute, right? I shouldn't have to hold their hand. Why the hell are they selling real estate if I got to hold their hands? This is ridiculous. Just do what I do. So I will say, like, I actually didn't have attrition on our team. People stayed with me. Maybe they just liked me. I'm not sure what. But I would say the biggest thing that I have learned, and I would say it's ridiculous. It's 20 years into this business, and I'm just really coming into the realization of this in the last 2 years, is that people and my team really value what I have to pass on to them. You know, so as you know, the market's shifted and it's afforded more time to look at what we're doing and evaluate what's working and what's not working. Actually, I'll back up a little bit. I had added, and this is again another learning curve, I had added onto our team a sales manager back about 8 months ago. And my thought process is that, hey, you know what? I need to ramp up the number of people that I have and have my sales manager be there to help them and guide them and whatever else, so that I can focus on more of our development acquisitions, you know, feeding the project side of things. And I realized pretty quickly that the reason that people are coming on the team is because of me. So we have these new people that are coming on, and you know, they're supposed to, in my mind, be going to the sales manager, and I'm just getting bombarded with calls and whatever else. And I'm like, man, that's taken away from my time doing my other stuff. So I would say that what I would do differently is I would have probably made a lot, or paid a lot more attention to, like, real mentorship. And I would say now what we're really benefiting from with technologies and with video and all these different things, we've got 2 new team members who just joined our team who are brand new. So I talk about these people that are drinking from the fire hose, like drowning from the world of real estate. And what I've gotten into the habit of doing is whenever I'm asked of anything, we flick on the video, whether it be we've created this studio that we can do like stand-up stuff in, or recording screens on how we do processes and things like that, because I don't have the time or the interest in holding somebody's hand 40 times or for 2 hours.
Well, that becomes duplicatable.
Yeah, absolutely. So absolutely, and I think the thing is that, you know, my time is precious. I've been super fortunate after 20 years of doing this that I know how to structure my days. I typically don't work weekends unless it's an important meeting that I've got to take. And I don't know, maybe people think that that's a mistake, but you know, I value my time with my family. So when the new team member comes on, and this is a learning experience for me, and he's got this thing that he's all wrapped up in and stressed out about that takes 2 hours of my time, it's like, I need to think leverage here, right? I got to get the video going. You know, I get him on a Teams call, do a screen record. You know, I send it to my marketing assistant. She edits it up, and that goes into the library, so that in future, when we're trying to explain the process of, so you have an accepted offer and it's subject to the sale, so you have an accepted offer, and then you're getting, oh my goodness.
Invoked?
Thank you. So you're removing the subject to sale and you're putting in subject to the collapse of the previously accepted offer. You know, there's just logistical things. I shouldn't go into technicalities while I'm talking on the stage, but there's logistical things that are super important for people to understand. Otherwise, they have massive exposure. But if I've got to teach that to, you know, 6 people on the team, it takes a lot of time, as opposed to one video that my lead assistants get to go back and correct and say, well, actually, Ben, you should tweak it a little bit this way, so that they learn the proper way, not just the way that I do it.
Awesome.
It's super important. So.
Yes. Kelly, one thing that you'd like to have a redo, a do-over?
It's funny. I don't think I'd change a thing. I can go back and I can pinpoint times where I'm like, oh my God, what an idiot! I was such a bonehead. Like, what the heck was I thinking? But you know what? I had to go through that to get where I am today, and to become the person I am today, so that I can serve others and help them become the people they need to be. If I didn't go through that stuff, I wouldn't be able to serve them well. And so, you just got to go through stuff, guys. And you know what? You're going to be going through stuff right now. There's some people right now trying to figure out where their next $5 is to drive people around. And I remember those days. And you know what? It's going to make you who you are. But don't give up, right? It wins. I'm going to see if it works. I'm going to see if it works. What's it? Some phantom it out there. Guys, real estate works. Consistently making $500,000 a year. You make tons of money. All these guys, I mean, it works. Real estate works. But you have to work it. But sometimes it's gonna work you a little bit. And who you become through the process is far more important, far more valuable in the long run. And so stick with that.
Okay. Last question for Jeremy. What is one thing that you can share with the audience why they should be on a team?
Why they should be on a team?
Why they should be on a team?
Oh, boy.
Last question.
Why should they be on a team? Thanks.
Well, let me talk about leverage a little bit. Why I think Jeremy, I just love Jeremy on my team, and I get to leverage him. I know that I can have a lead come in, and I basically just do a touch pass. I don't have to grab the ball, hold it, dribble it for a while, think about it. I can just basically do a touch pass to Jer because he can take that pass and deliver and make the shot, whether it's 3 points, a layup, whatever it may be. And I think that you can then leverage everything else on the team, whether it be Neb or myself, all of that. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the cool things about being on a team is that we're a family. We love each other. We tell each other that we love each other. We have times that we get together and we talk about good stuff. We talk about bad stuff. We cry. We cry because we're hilarious, because we're funny. So those are the things that are just so important because it's lonely out there. And without my team, it's a lot more lonely. So, yeah.
Great way to finish it off. It's all about love. It's all about love. Okay, thank you. Can I have a round of applause for the panelists? Thank you.